10.
Prop
Halfway.
nation, baby. Halfway. Well, it's actually, we're over halfway, aren't we? We're over halfway.
Yeah, even don't include playoffs and things like that.
Yeah,
Halfway.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm your host, Sully. This is John Roberts. Piece of beauty. John, your Thursday night record right now. What would you say? What would you say we were shooting?
We're hitting at 70%. We had another
7-0.
3-1 night.
70%.
Which was awesome. We hit on Chuba Hubbard unders, hit.
Yep.
Deonta Foreman overs, hit.
Yep.
And Adam Thielen. That was the call of the century. That was like absolute lock. He did nearly get there in the end, but that was a good night.
Yeah,
and then I missed on Justin Fields ended up playing. I missed on like a Bryce Young completions. I needed over 21 and a half, and he got 21 exactly completions.
That's a tough call.
Yeah. But no, man, Thursday nights have been awesome. They've been going really, really well. People have been sharing their tickets with me as well from what we've selected, saying thank you for the money.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a good little train going here. We got a good little bus, you know? Good followers. I got to say thank you to everybody out there that has been following along and has been growing with our channel. This is exciting, you know, with us being in year one, really only 10 weeks. Well, I mean, 13 weeks? 14 weeks?
It's our rookie season.
It's our rookie season. But you know what? We're going along. John.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to ask you to kick us off and take us over to the first field that you want to address on our Sunday slate. We've got some good picks here. I feel like my card is it's a little sneaky.
Yours is very sneaky, yeah.
It's a pretty sneaky one. And there's some you'd be surprised at this one where you see some of these picks and you go, "What? That's all he has to do?"
There's a few I'll back. There's a couple I'm interested to see what you have to say about them. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So why don't you take us to the first stadium?
All right, there's a bunch of juicy ones this week, but we'll start at SoFi. This Lions traveling to Chargers matchup is going to be such a good one. There's going to be points all over the board, and we've seen heaps of success on both ends. I've got Jared Goff, and I'm going to start with Jared Goff over his passing yardage. I think it's going to be around 260. But he has sort of started to string it together.
What is the line on it? Is it 260?
Can you look it up for me? I haven't had a chance to actually see it move about. It was down for a bit, but he has been going over all his yardage props lately, so that's why I'm semi into it. But the thing of beauty, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our content.
Yes, please.
What do you got?
Subscribe. It's 266 and a half. Sorry, I got so excited. I just cut you off there. Yeah, 266 and a half.
Yeah. So what I'm tracking here is, the over-under is 49. That's nice. We like to see that. This is the Chargers defense against all props against other quarterbacks. Zach Wilson last week in primetime threw for 260 in the end. Tyson Bagent threw over 230. Of course, Mahomes went out and destroyed them. I think he put up something like 400 yards. Dak,
that was nuts.
Jimmy G, Kirk, everyone has had success, and now I fully believe it's Jared Goff's time. I'll just quickly show you as well how he's been tracking for his props as well. Slow start, really, really slow start, but somehow in the last few weeks, they've really turned it around. They've been passing more. I think this might actually have coincided with David Montgomery playing less. He will be back, but even so, and I think that you've got a Detroit Lions avenue that you're taking as well. So that's where I'm sort of going. I'm trying to, I haven't talked about Jared Goff too much. I haven't actually talked about him since opening night, week 1 of NFL kickoff, but I wanted to talk about him here because I think he's in a really prime spot. I've got it as a 3-star pick. He's coming about. I do really like Jared Goff. Chargers defense, crap.
Yeah, and you're a big Chargers fan, so and this falls in a philosophy of mine that I want to share with Ben.
Yeah, go for it.
You'll notice this with John and I. We have teams that we like to stick to, and I think that's a really safe thing when you're betting. If you start to learn a team inside and out, and you understand the mechanics and you understand the playbook more, you're watching that team more. You're starting to see patterns that evolve with those teams. I'm this way with hockey. I follow certain power plays. You start to get to know the style, how they play a lot more. So you're betting. You get somewhat of an edge because you start to understand the team better versus trying to wrap yourself around all of the NFL. You really start to kind of pigeonhole, is that the term? Pigeonhole?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the point of my spreadsheet. It's not to reinvent the wheel. It's to look for diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, and then when you also understand what the team's doing, and then you see a number pop out on the page, it's and I know how your brain works. It works like mine. When you look through those stats, any of those stats, you should be able to lean on them. But what ends up happening is on that page, a couple of them stand out above all of them. And, you just kind of it's like blinking at you. And you go like, even if you look past it and you look all the way down the chart and you go back up and you look at it and you're like, that thing is still blinking at me. Like that makes the most sense. Usually because you understand that team and you understand the mechanics and how that's going to operate. So my advice to any young bettors out there is start to learn, pick five teams and start to learn about that team and watch them more and more and more. When you're betting, you do it on statistics, do it on our advice. But if you really want to start following your own gut, an educated gut, really hone in. And you'll notice John and I go back to similar teams or similar backfields or similar styles anyway. We do both watch a ton of football, so and analytically watch a ton of football, not just watch football for the sake of getting pissed drunk and watching football. We're watching it with a purpose. So, and enjoyment. Yeah. It's entertainment, but we both watch it for a purpose. Anyway, in Detroit, you like Jared Goff. I like Jahmyr Gibbs over his receiving total. And I think that's, what is that, 18 and a half.
Is that what it's at, 18 and a half? That's a great line.
18 and a half against the Chargers. So if this game kind of comes out the way that I think it is, I think it's going to be pretty fast-paced. I don't think the clock's going to be moving that fast, but I think the game's going to be moving that fast. I think more throwing than running, and it's a great spot for Gibbs. If they're third and long, and there's going to be a few of them. There's going to be a few third and longs for Detroit in that game. And that's a perfect spot for Jahmyr Gibbs. So I was tempted to take the longest pass completion, but I think I'm very comfortable at 18 and a half. And 3 receptions sounds tasty, but if I think the longest completion's going to hit and he's at 18 and a half, I'm just going to bank on him getting over that yardage. I think it's I think it's a skewed line. Like I think it should be 24, 25. So.
Yeah. It's tough to say. So I do like this pick. I'll just head back to my spreadsheet real quick. If we have a look at how running backs have performed in the pass catching against the Chargers, they've given up to pretty much everyone. Breece Hall did have a tough one. He didn't make his 17 and a half last week. He did have 3. He did make his receptions though. So if you want to go receptions or yards, I'm fine with either since week 1. My only concerns that I would be worried about here is, for one, we talked about it, David Montgomery's back, but I think that Jahmyr Gibbs has now proven enough that he
as a pass catcher, especially.
As a pass catcher. My only other concern is Donovan Peoples-Jones. They traded for in place of Marvin Jones. I sort of wonder now that, like, I think they've got every receiver. We haven't seen this them as a complete team. Now, if you have a look on YouTube at the tracking, so all these players, like if you're betting overs, say for example on Sam Laporta, if you did it all year, you'd have made a lot of money. Same with Amon-Ra since week 2. He's been playing lights out, and Josh Reynolds as well. Jameson Williams still hasn't got it together. So that's my only concern. But, there's doubts with, like, you can poke holes in every single pick. So, really, really like, especially for my fantasy team as well, Jahmyr Gibbs here. But 18 and a half, I understand why it's gone down is what I'm saying, but I think he can overcome that.
I get why it's gone down, I think. But more pass catching opportunities right now than rushing opportunities are going to be in his future. And, I think for the next 2 weeks, you'll probably see some value here. If he goes for 44, which I honestly think he's gonna get up there around 40. And if he does, If he gets 44 next week, it'll be up in the 30s. And if he does it again, then you're going to be seeing some Alvin Kamara numbers, and that's when it's not or Austin Eckler numbers, and that's when it's not worth it. So right now, I see an opportunity right there, because once Montgomery comes back, he's going to be occupying a lot of those first and second down. So Craig Reynolds was taking the third down role. Yeah. So if you go look at what Craig Reynolds has done, and you look at Jahmyr Gibbs as a complete running back and his ability to find open space, that's a safe dump for Goff. Yep. Especially 3rd and 8. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. That's a trustworthy spot to give a ball to a guy to catch it 5 yards and try and get the extra 3 after the catch. I can't see him not getting the 18.5 this week. So I'm riding.
Just while we're on this game as well, I'll just go back to my spreadsheet. I really like, I was just talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really like him in this game. Even since they traded away JC Jackson, the Chargers have been able to unfill that hole that he's left. Receiver ones have had a really good streak against them. So Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, CeeDee Lamb. Tight ends have had a really great time against so I think Sam Laporta's in for a big one here. Hey, remember, you can see the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
Remember my lock of the week 6 Dallas, Jake Ferguson?
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Fergberg.
Yeah.
He's the only one
who did
that one time that I picked him was just that one time that they didn't have any success. And it's such as my luck.
Are we living in a simulation? Because doesn't that every better feel like that?
That's how I feel.
One fucking week.
Yep. Yeah. He's like, one tight end has not been able to have success. And it was the one that I bet.
You called a lock of the week. Oh my God.
Yeah, remember that? What I did actually really like though, so I've bet Amon-Ra unders twice this year. It was week 1 and week 4, and that's been the 2 times that he's gone under. So, they've taken some, they've given some.
Yeah, that's where we're at. That's surgical, John.
Yeah.
That's surgical.
Hey, you got to play the matchups. The matchups.
That's really surgical, and I think people should really actually understand how good you are at this by looking at a stat like that, because every week you're not looking at Amon-Ra and being like, oh, unders. He always he's going to hit the unders, and you don't do it the other way. You don't go overs. Yeah, he's a stud. He's a stud.
Yeah, not blindly.
He's going over. You're not doing it blindly. You surgically picked the 2 games, and you haven't picked Amon-Ra at all aside from those 2 games, and you surgically picked those out and isolated them as matchups that Amon-Ra was not going to hit his totals. And I gotta give you kudos to that. And I think our listeners, if you're making money off of picks like that, you really got to give John some props on that, because there's not a lot of people on this planet that can surgically pick something like that, and you're one of them, bud. So
thank you, and my bank account thanks me as well. But I will say, I've actually been having a lot. I don't know about you. I've been having a lot more luck with just doing singles. So obviously, like when we build out a ticket, there'll be like 6 legs on the parlay, and it's huge. It'd be great if it goes off. But usually we get about 4 or 5. So that's how we sort of like keep the money coming in, churning in. But I've actually had like way more luck on singles. I don't know about you.
Well, that's always the case, right? I mean, it's just always the case. And, notoriously in the betting community, your 4th leg on a 5 leg, doesn't hit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
welcome to my life.
But that's like, there's a reason that the odds are the way that they are. There's a reason that you're going to take $100 and you're going to turn that into 60,000. Like it's not statistically supposed to happen. So you can't get mad when those types of tickets don't hit. Like if you're getting mad and you're putting $10 in and you want to win $4,000, don't get mad. But follow the singles. If you take that $10 and you put it into these singles, if you pick one of them, hopefully it's not the one that loses, and you take the pick and you put it on the single, and then that brings you $17, and then you take that 17 and then you move it into the 4:00 game and take one of the picks that we have for the 4:00 game, ride it, take that 17, now turn that 17 into 28, and then for the nighter you take the 28, you do it again, and then a day, you can make $100 just off of $10 by just riding the day out with singles. So, I mean, there's a lot of strategies here, but unless you just want to just swing for the fence, big daddy, big homer, just going yard. And
we can't help it. We can't help ourselves. You can't
help it. Like, I do it.
Because when it hits, it's like you're like, I'm the most amazing gambler in the world. I'm so good at sports betting. I should start a podcast about it.
Yeah, and not just that. Yeah, not just that. If you're putting $100 on every single week, and you go 18 weeks, and so you're $1,800 in for the season. If you hit one of those in the 18 weeks, which statistically you should, if you're hitting the percentages that we are, you're gonna probably hit one of those in 18 weeks, and if you do, that's gonna make you a whole lot more than $1,800. So it's a trade-off, but if you have the bankroll to do it,
Right, exactly. Next game I want to talk about. And it's kind of actually leads on from what you were just saying about Amon-Ra and picking your weeks, picking those exact two. I'm talking about, is it Texans at Bengals or Bengals at Texans?
It's
Texans at Bengals.
At Bengals, yeah. It's a good spot
interesting.
For Cincinnati.
Yes, well, we don't have any lines open yet because we don't know the status of Jamar Chase. Is that right?
And Higgins was just announced that he's out.
Oh, okay. Wow. So this should be interesting because I was actually thinking, I'm going to bring up my spreadsheet again. I'm looking at Tyler Boyd here. This is just a quick one. This is not my pick, but I just wanted to talk about it. So Tyler Boyd has had a really, really great season. The expectation of him is quite low, and he still managed to overcome it even in the first few weeks when Joe Burrow was not playing too well. Now that the team has really come alive, he's really taken off. But I've kind of got this pegged as maybe an unders week.
Oh, I don't know.
For Tyler Boyd.
Now knowing that, what do you think now knowing that T. Higgins
well,
and that Jamar
we
Chase
talked about
is
this because
healthy?
Yeah, so receiver one option for the Texans has had success. Sorry, against the Texans has had success, but receiver two over the last 6 weeks has been completely shut down. So who is it? Jalen Petrie is playing in the backfield there, or is it someone else?
I actually don't know. Texans. I don't follow the Texans really at all.
I'm thinking maybe it's Derek Stingley, or one of those guys is shutting down receiver two options here. So this is where I'd stay, even though Tyler Boyd has had a lot of success, I might stay off him this week. But the guy I am looking at for an over is Joe Mixon in his receiving yards.
Love it. Absolutely.
Once again, you would have seen, was just talking about the Texans and their defense, pass catching running backs, and running backs in general have had a lot of success. Only one who didn't, weirdly, was Bijan in week 5.
Which was just bad coaching. That was poor coaching. That wasn't Bijan's fault.
Right. Every other week since week 2, all running backs have hit over their props, specifically in receiving yards. That was just a bad game for the Falcons in general. Panthers struggled, but Panthers have struggled with their running back position. But Rachaad White, I'm going back to the well here. He had a fantastic game against the Texans last week. People were saying it's a breakout game for Rachaad White. I think it was just personally a good matchup. I'm not a huge Rachaad White guy, but I did target him last week, and it was very, very successful for us. But Joe Mixon, especially now that the Bengals have started to turn it on, they're looking like a complete team. They might be 4th in the AFC North, but they do not feel like the 4th place team.
They're cruising. You're going to watch them keep moving up the standings. Like they're playing lights out right now. Happy to be a Bengals fan.
So it'll be an interesting matchup. But like I was saying, since week 6, since Joe Burrow has come alive, the Bengals started to put together. So I really like Joe Mixon in this spot for over pass catching.
Yeah,
I think it'll be about 25.5. Maybe with the receivers out, it might get up to 30, but I think I'd still be comfortable with 30.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Somewhere around there. High 20s. I typically don't bet on the team that I'm in love with. So
yes. I never bet Seahawks.
Yeah, it's not going on my card, but I really like it. I full support. I think that you know what you're talking about in this situation, and I couldn't agree more. As an avid Bengals viewer, I will tell you that this is a Joe Mixon game through and through. And I also think
over-under is 46.5, and Bengals are favored -7. I think that actually might have some movement if they're without their best players.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the lines now.
Houston's getting so much.
Oh no, it's only down to 6.5.
Yeah, there's a lot of love and credit coming into the Texans, and rightfully so. They've been playing really good football. I haven't been following them, but I from what I see when I'm watching the highlights and going through the box scores and everything, they look it looks like they're a pretty complete team. Every single week they have a different receiver that's going off for 150 yards. So anytime that's happening, you know that you're in for it when you're a defensive coordinator, and they're going to throw whatever they have to. It's just really good coaching. If you have Tank Dell going for 175, and then you've got Noah Brown going for 175, and then you've got who did they have? They had another receiver that eclipsed 150, didn't they?
It was Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was the other one.
Went for 150.
Yeah, 150, baby.
Oh my goodness, Dalton Schultz
fumbled the ball and they never looked. Yeah,
he must have been exhausted.
What a game. It was just an all-round great game for my Houston Texans.
Oh, yeah, your Houston Texans.
I'm on. Boop, boop.
Now, can Dameon Pierce get in on some of this or what? He's out this game, isn't he? But,
do you remember, just while we're talking about Dameon Pierce?
Don't even
At the start of the season?
Stop. Don't. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. Go on.
Dameon Pierce. So Sully and I, the first thing we did before we even said we're going to do the show, we put together a bet of who would finish with more fantasy points, Dameon Pierce or Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
And you thought I was nuts. You were like, I can't do the show with John. He's fucking nuts. There's no way I can do the show.
How can we even have this conversation right now?
Yeah. Because you were like, it's Dameon Pierce. It's not even close. Now, look, I will say it is not really that close. Dameon Pierce is running back 38 on the season, I think.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary is running back 52, but I'll tell you, there's only 12 points in it.
I swear to goodness. Well, now he's out. He's been out for a couple games. He's gonna catch up to him. This is rough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
This is real rough. That
it's a good one. I love that.
Half. Okay. Well, here let me take us somewhere.
Next one.
What do we got here? Yeah, let's go. We're gonna take a little stroll over to Minnesota. And in this game, Josh Dobbs. Can we just take a second? Man. Can we just take a second?
You love Josh Dobbs.
How do I love? When have I talked about Josh Dobbs?
Have you? I thought you were a big Josh Dobbs guy.
I'm not a big Josh Dobbs guy, but after last game,
I might have made that up.
I think, you definitely made that up. But you know what? I think
I've been watching too much ESPN.
Yeah, I think a lot of America they're Josh Dobbs fans now. That was a game. That was some baller stuff coming in with no preparation. Didn't know anybody's name on the field. He's like, you're the guy. If somebody's talking in his headset, they're like, your first read is your X, and then you're looking tight end, and then you're looking running back, and he's like, got it, hot.
Apparently
insane.
Kevin O'Connell would like describe the routes, and then the receivers, once the headset cut off, the receivers had to be like, oh yeah, so that's this route, so I'm going to go do this, and then he'd be like, okay, cool, let's go out and do it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Pre-snap, they're coaching him through where the guy's going to be running on this call. Like, just some like fairy tale stuff in the NFL. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
and pretty cool to see Josh Dobbs do it. I've always thought Josh Dobbs is a good quarterback, like through and through, mechanically sound.
He's fine.
Yeah, mechanically sound. He's not. I don't think he's going to win you a championship. He might win you a fantasy championship if he keeps playing that way. But you know what? I think this is going to be a great game for him, but I think there's a diamond in the rough in this entire game. Now, everybody's going to be staring at Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara. They're playing New Orleans, by the way. I think those are some.
They're what? Sorry,
they're playing New Orleans. Minnesota's playing New Orleans.
Yes.
The Saints. So, a lot of the action is going to be coming on those superstars. A lot of the action is going to be pointed towards the superstars. I look at this, and there's a couple games where this one player has not got a completion. But watching the last game and watching the routes run, I followed this player quite a bit last year for the Raiders.
Did you?
I did. I cashed almost weekly on the over the longest reception because of one play that Derek Carr runs with this player. And this player is Foster Moreau. It's so good.
What everyone thought you were going to say.
Yeah. This player's Foster Moreau. And this week, the line is absurd for his receptions. John, when I sent you the card today, what are his receptions at?
Well, he just needs a catch.
He needs one fucking catch, John.
Yeah.
One catch.
When you showed me this ticket, I looked at it and I was like, what the hell's Foster Moreau doing on this ticket? But he does just need one catch. And with that said, since week 5, I mean, I might be taking your thunder here. Do you want to just go? Do you want to keep going?
No. You give me the stats to prove why this is going to happen.
So I had to go and look him up. I'm like, what has Foster Moreau even done this season? Mm-hmm. He's actually been since week 5, actually not too bad. He has had week 5 against New England, 1 catch. Okay, so that would have been a hit. Against Houston, 4 catches for 33 yards. Massive hit. Jacksonville, 3 catches. Indy, he played 70% of snaps and he didn't have a target. Not great. But then back against the Bears, 1 catch.
For 22 yards.
For 23 yards.
Like 23. There's a theme here. Yeah. And that route is his signature fucking route. And I followed this guy. And they call his number once a game for this route. And it's been going on since Vegas, or since Oakland. I think he was there in Oakland.
Well, of course, with Derek Carr.
And it just blows my mind. It blows my mind that they keep getting away with this. They keep getting away with it. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch them do it again and me go, there's the one catch. And that's it.
That's it. And then your day's done.
And then the day's done. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's going to happen in the second quarter. I'm so excited.
I mean, like, the thing that scares me most about this, and it's exactly the same as Detroit, is everyone is healthy. Alvin Kamara's there. Kendra Miller's there. Jamal Williams is back. I think they're starting to use him a bit more as well. Juwan Johnson is back. Taysom Hill's he's very involved. Mm-hmm. But like you say,
I would not be surprised with the extra DB, though. I would not be surprised just because of how quick Alvin Kamara is out of the backfield. One less linebacker, one more DB.
Yep.
Perfect spot for Foster Moreau. Perfect spot. You're going to line up a dude that size against a DB, and they're going to wait. They're going to wait until it's man coverage. And they've got a guy that's kind of in between Foster Moreau and watching off on the side for Olave, watching on the side where they've noticed that, hey, this is a play, this is a go route that's coming for Shaheed. They're going to just wait. They're going to wait. And then the second that guy that's in man, where he has his assignment to move back in man, and then once he's figured out where the route is, if Foster Moreau is nowhere to be in Dangerfield or whatever, he's going to take off and go for Shaheed and follow, or he's going to take off and just stick on Olave, Michael Thomas in the slot. He's going to be wide open, and they're going to do it. They're going to do it. He's going to get his one catch, and I'm going to be laughing. So, 1 reception. Foster Moreau, let's go.
You're going to be waking me up at like 5 a.m. when he gets that catch. Like, John, wake up, Foster Moreau hit.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's a wild one. Yep.
So, while we're talking about this game, I do have Chris Olave for over 4.5 catches, if he can get that, maybe even 5.5. Chris Olave, even though he hasn't been able to get the yards we need, the targets have been there, the checkdowns have been there. He's been getting the receptions. And just quickly, while we're having a look at Minnesota,
go look at the defense.
Every wide receiver, like the defense has been playing actually very, very well, much better than last year. Their run defense has been really good. I'd be concerned about Alvin Kamara this game. But if you have a look at
receptions on the tight end, by the way.
Receptions on the tight end. Well, they've been very sort of hit and miss. We can see it, but what you can see, wide receiver ones every week since week 3 have hit their like prop or gone over it. So 3, 3, 4, 3, 3. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. If Chris Olave is sitting around 4.5, I think there's going to be a bit of success there for him. Michael Thomas. He didn't have a catch last week. Did he even have a target? I think he had like 4 targets maybe or something like that.
Looking like Michael Thomas that everybody wanted Michael Thomas to look like.
I thought that this might be a bounce back year for him, but just with the way Derek Carr has been playing, it's just been too tricky for that.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is what it is. No, if you go look at that list, though, John, the reason I'm saying about the tight end, if you go look at that,
yeah,
all of those
do you want
numbers
me to bring it back up?
all those numbers are over 1, aren't they?
Well, I mean, this is tight end 1. Saints do roll 3 tight ends. So you're talking about the tight end 3.
No, not at all.
Maybe the tight end 2 if you're lucky.
You're going to call Taysom Hill the number 1 tight end?
No, Juwan Johnson's the number 1 tight end.
Come on.
But Taysom Hill
Juwan Johnson's the number 1 tight end on that team.
Yeah, of course. I think so.
Go look at those games where Foster Moreau had 4 catches or 3 catches for 44 yards. What did Juwan Johnson have?
All right, man. Well, he was injured. He was not even playing.
That's fair. Okay.
So that's what I was saying about the ticket. But no, I'm excited. I'm going to keep my eye out for this one. And
it's a good one.
You heard it here first. Jason Sleemer, big Foster Moreau.
Big Foster Moreau guy. Big Foster Moreau. Hey, I don't draft him in fantasy. I just follow the trends, and I just follow Derek Carr's heart. You know?
Exactly.
That's all I'm doing. Just following his heart.
Exactly. But who cares about fantasy? Fantasy's boring compared to betting.
Yeah, screw it.
All right, I've got a couple more here that I want to hit.
Sure.
So Olave was my receiver I want to talk about. We talked about my running back. I've got a lot of tight end options this week. There's lots of juicy tight end matchups.
You've been all
Trey
over
McBride.
You're starting 3 tight ends. You're starting 3 tight ends in their dynasty fantasy.
In one of my leagues, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I'm just completely out of options. It's hard, man. The Chiefs are on bye, Rams, Eagles, and Dolphins.
Yeah.
They're like 4 of the juiciest tight end fantasy options.
That's so good. Okay, go on. Go on.
So a couple of tight ends who I really like here. Trey McBride with Kyler Murray coming back. They're playing the Falcons. Mm-hmm. They're in a good spot there, I think, to bounce back. I talked about Sam Laporta really briefly, but he is looking like he's got a very good matchup. Evan Engram, I've talked about him every week. We're going back to it every week. I know it's scary. They're playing the 49ers, but what you got to understand about the 49ers this season is they're not the scary beast that they were in years past, and especially when it comes to betting. They have been giving it up to the tight end the last few weeks. Looking at receptions here, so every tight end since week 4 has either sort of hit the amount of receptions that they needed or they've gone over, so I do like this spot. I mean, they played some good ones, but Big Irv at Cincinnati had a good game. TJ Hawkinson, of course, had a good game. And then David Njoku and others as well. So I think this is a good spot for Evan Engram, who I do love to bring up because he has been the most consistent player this season so far when it comes to my betting. He has hit his receptions every single week. So if we can get it at 3.5, beautiful. 4.5, I'd still probably take that. 5 is where it starts to get a bit risky, but
2 days
for the most part.
2 days at 5.
Hey?
2 days.
2 days at 5. Yeah. Yep. So that's one that I really like there. I'll fire off a couple more. So okay. So I've got Chig is looking all right. Chigozie Okonkwo is who I'm talking about. In the Titans matchup, I think they're playing the Bucks, and the Bucks have been giving it up. I've got Conk here for only 1 star. Sorry, again, Tyler Conklin. Chig and Conk.
Yeah, your nicknames.
They've got a matchup against the Raiders, the Jets. Oh, that's right. This is this primetime game. But Conk has been playing pretty well as well. Although the Raiders might be a bit tricky with their new change of coach. Usually it breathes new life into people.
It does, but it's check down central for Zach Wilson. He's playing like complete dog shit. So it's rough. It's rough. That text that I sent you, like, I just want to like Zach Wilson. I just want Zach Wilson to be good. But you know what?
Yeah.
He's not.
He's not.
He's not. I got to stop wishing.
We can't always get what we want.
No, we can't get what we want. And I really want to just see him turn it around and just have a good career. Even though he's very punchable, I just want to see him have a good career. And
there's so many times
he's not going to
during the season over the years where I'm like, maybe I'll make a trade for Zach Wilson. Maybe I'll go out and get him. And then I hold off. I'm like, no, because I have to remind myself he does suck.
You're like,
and then every week we see
why am I thinking this? Like, I just want him to be good. I just want him to be good.
Want him to be good.
But you know what? The checkdowns. Just ride him on the checkdowns. Even though Breece Hall didn't hit last week and I was real horny for him, It's just unfortunately that didn't happen. But I feel like the whole world was on Breece Hall's over receptions last week. It was bound to not hit. When I went and looked at the amount of money that was on that bet, I just thought, this ain't gonna happen. And I watched it not happen. Anyway, I'm not saying that Breece Hall, he'll probably hit over this week, but another.
I think so.
So let me bring up another one here.
Yeah, great.
Who's the RB1 in Pittsburgh? I'm not asking this question.
The RB1. Look, I actually don't know the answer.
Right, and I think that's why I'm asking this question. I don't think many people know the answer. I think most people are going to say it's Najee Harris, but is it?
I think it is still Najee. Yeah.
What makes him the RB1?
It's hard. It's hard to know.
What makes him the RB1?
Well, because he always plays like the first and second downs.
Yeah.
And then you get to the second quarter, and then they're like, let's roll out Jaylen Warren. And then he goes, lights it up. And then after halftime rolls by, and then Najee's out there again.
That's exactly it. You asked me last week if you thought that was going to be the week that Najee Harris was supplanted by Jaylen Warren.
Right.
You asked me last week. You said, is this a week? And I said, no, I don't think this is a week. I think it's going to take a week or two.
I think it would have happened by now, yeah.
No, I think this is the week. But
this is it.
I think this is it. This is where you start to see the carries even out.
Okay. All right.
I don't even have him for the carries, though. I have him for the longest rush, and I have it over 11.5. He's explosive. And this is a game against Green Bay where he's going to have the opportunity to be explosive. He's going to hit that second level. Breaks contact one time with the DB. One time. If he breaks one missed tackle.
Is all it takes.
And him around the outside, those outside zones, he's a freak, man. He's fast.
Yeah.
Give me the speed rush on the outside. Give me 11.5 yards. I think he's going to hit 13 or 14. Jaylen Warren, over 11.5 longest rush. Book it.
I do like this one. The Packers defense has, in general, I mean, it's hard to take anything away from the game last week against the Rams. The Rams were just awful all over the place. They don't have their number one running back in Kyron Williams, don't have Matt Stafford, so they were easy to play against there. It's not much to take away. But I think that I think there's definitely, Jaylen Warren's probably one of the better running backs that they've faced in the last few weeks. They did face Javonte Williams, who he did get all of his overs as well, and all other running backs have had success there.
Including the longest rush he got on that week too. So
I think like this is what we were saying is it's so hard to tell apart Najee from Jaylen Warren, but it's so obvious that Jaylen Warren looks so much better out there. He also, the good thing, if you wanted to take over his like rushing yards, for example, which is not this bet, but if you did,
what's it, 35 or 40?
It's usually about 30. 30 rushing yards is all you need. And then with Najee, you usually need about 55. So take the discount.
We'll see. Yeah, take the discount. Absolutely. This week, I think Jaylen Warren, I mean, I might do just a Jaylen Warren ticket where he's got his over receptions for 3, his receiving total, which is 20.5, his rushing yards, and his longest rush. Like, Jaylen Warren. I really like him this week. I think it's a Jaylen Warren week. You know?
Yeah.
His rush yards are 33.5. It's decent. It's real decent.
33.5?
Yeah, it's real good.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Either way, I'm taking the 11.5 on the longest because I honestly think he's going to bust one. He's just going to pound one into the secondary and break contact at least once. And he's good as long as he's getting the first down on a first down, second down. And he breaks contact once. He's getting that. Yeah.
No, that's a great pick. Do you want to roll into your last one?
Yes. This is
as well.
This is a scary one. We're going back.
And then I'll finish with a couple.
Yeah.
This is a scary one.
This is a really scary one. The scrutiny around Artie Smith right now.
Right.
And this is the reason I'm taking this pick. It's not. I believe in the player. The player, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that this player is the best player on the field when he's out there. He was drafted number 1 overall in fantasy football rings. Yeah. He's touted to be the next greatest running back of our generation.
We're talking about Cordero Patterson, right?
Must be. I was such a fan of Cordero Patterson when he came out of college. Artie Smith has destroyed this man's rookie season.
He's under the microscope.
Fucking annihilated his chances of offensive rookie of the year. I feel so bad for Bijan Robinson right now. But this week, he will go over his rushing total. Artie Smith is going to get a directive from the top down that is feed the fucking ball to our playmakers.
Yeah.
And they're going to hand it off to Bijan 15 times. And this guy is a fucking monster. His rushing total, so his rushing attempts, it's 13.5. So that tells you what Vegas also thinks about this. And
13.5?
The guy, 13.5.
I'll plug that one in.
So take 14, right? I think the over is going to happen. Now, an average pedestrian running back gets how many yards, John?
An average pedestrian running back? Oh, yards per carry? Well, the average is between sort of about 3.5 to 3.7.
So let's just say Bijan, let's give him 4.
4. Well, Bijan would be more like 4.2.
Yeah, let's give him 4 though. What does it give us? It gives us 56. If he's like reasonably, like he's playing like a mediocre game, if they're feeding them the ball 14 times, that's 56. His over-under is 55.5. If Bijan has any form of a good game, if he's at 4.2, then, and that's not even a good game. That's like it's a mediocre game. So at 14 carries, at 4.2, that's 58.8. I think he's going to hit 65 in this game. So I think 15 carries. I think he's going to get 15 carries for 65 yards. So at 55.5, that seems like a discount to me. I know it sounds crazy because he hasn't been doing shit all for anybody, and he's been ruining everybody's tickets all around the world. This is the week. Artie Smith is under a microscope. Everybody, they're talking about Harbaugh. Harbaugh, coming back. Maybe he'll go to Atlanta. They're talking about all these coaching changes, and Atlanta's in the conversation for every single one of these coaching changes.
Right.
If you're the coach, what do you think you'd do? Give the fucking ball to your playmakers. That's it. Don't put it in the hands of Taylor Heineke. Don't put it in the hands of Taylor Heineke. If you think you're going to have a job after putting the ball in Taylor Heineke's hands, are you going to bet? Let me ask you this, John.
And Tyler Algier.
Yeah, like, okay,
he's a good
so
player.
Your job is on the line this week. You could pretty much sum up that your job is on the line. You know, you're waking up every morning, driving to the stadium, feeling pressure from the media. You can't even listen to sports radio because everybody's fucking talking about you getting fired. And you're gonna tell me that you're gonna go into a game and lean on Taylor Heineke? No, you're not gonna fucking lean on Taylor Heineke. You're gonna give the ball to Bijan Robinson. He's the most talented player on the fucking field. So give the ball to Bijan. 55.5 yards over. Book it.
Look what he's doing to us. I think Arthur Blank would also say something along the lines of, I don't give a fuck how rich your family is, mine is richer, and I want you to give the ball to Bijan Robinson, and I'm your boss.
Exactly,
I think, Arthur Smith, his family started FedEx, is that right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah. Pretty good.
I do really like this pick, though, because if we have a look at the Cardinals and their track record against running backs, it's been a disaster for them, especially since week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Only, man, and this is my Kareem Hunt ticket last week and Jerome Ford.
The only one.
Kareem Hunt finished 2 yards short, and my 5 legs would have hit.
So there's another reason why.
Brutal beat.
Without all this scrutiny in Atlanta over the coaching job, here's reason number 2 that I would have taken this anyway if Arthur Smith wasn't there. The best way to keep Kyler Murray from actually being good Kyler Murray is to keep him off the fucking field.
Yeah.
So if you don't give him time to get his reps, if you give him a third less of the reps that he was going to get, if you're throwing the ball and you're potentially turning that ball over and you're keeping time when you're throwing the ball, if there's incompletions, the clock is not running. The clock is stopped. So So if you're running the football constantly, you're draining out the clock and you're giving less chance for Kyler Murray to get into the game. Like when I say get into the game, I mean like mentally get into the game. He's been off. You don't want him to start humming. So if you're giving them the opportunity to have that extra 2 possessions, the extra 3 possessions, because you're throwing the football, and bad things can happen when you throw the football with Taylor Heineke. If you're giving Kyler Murray those opportunities, you don't deserve to be a coach for the Atlanta Falcons if you're doing that. Run the fucking football with Bijan Robinson.
And the last thing I'd say about him is, it's been brutal for Bijan. It hasn't been much better for Tyler Algier as well. Like, he's only had to hit 55.5 yards from scrimmage each week, and he's only done it once since week 2. So all around, the Falcons running the ball has actually not been that good. And what I really like about it now is before Arthur Smith could hide behind the idea that, well, they were winning games, so they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And then look what happened. So they started losing games to Josh Dobbs and other various backup quarterbacks. So this is it. They've got to get back online. Perfect matchup against Arizona.
You got
perfect team to be doing it against. So it's a risky pick to hit the over, but I do like it. I might need to see it a couple of times first, but like you say, like
you might be too late though. You might be too late.
I still feel like it's but I think 55 still might be a little bit high of a line. I'm not saying that Bijan can't get it. I would just like it to be a bit lower.
Hey, if he goes for 120, if he's notorious for taking 145 yards.
Yeah, of course. It's just, but I'm not doubting the talent. I'm just saying I wouldn't put my money on it.
There's just so much. There's just so much that's there for me from like a football, like an analytical football mind that is telling me that, like, if this doesn't hit, Artie Smith does not deserve a job. Yeah, well, I mean, depends if they win or not. And that might be the text that you get from me. If Artie Smith has a job after this, like if Bijan doesn't hit this prop, I'm going to be all week. I'm going to be sour, and I'm going to hate Artie Smith. I'm just going to hate him. Do you not already? Mail. No, I don't have. Think about what he's done to Kyle Pitts. Think about what he's done to Drake London. Murdered that team. Like the talent, he is not found a way. He has not found a way. And you can blame the coordinators. Better get it to Jonnu Smith on the jet sweep. Oh, you may as well, right? The slowest guy on the fucking field. Give it to him on a jet sweep. May as well. Like Jesus Christ, man. That's what I'm saying. Oh, it's just awful play calling. But like, okay, so you can blame the coordinator. But the head coach is the guy that's authorizing. Like it's your job to say no. Like this is not the play calling for this week. What are you doing? Yeah, give me better plays. Anyway, all right. I'm going to take us out with a couple of quick picks that I really like. Have a think about them. Rapid fire. Just hitting back at this Bucks-Titans game, I really like Chris Godwin here in this spot against the Titans. He's got a lower line than Mike Evans. Been having a fairly decent run at it lately. Jackson Smith and Jigba for the Seahawks against Washington. Washington's coming to Seattle to play there. We haven't seen much from DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. Baby. Yeah, and he had 6 catches last week against the Ravens, and that was in a tough matchup, so I really like that as well. Amon-Ra, I already talked about. CeeDee Lamb, I keep going back to the well, but what he and Dak are doing at the moment is absolutely magical. They play the New York Giants. The only reason I wouldn't think that Dak and CD don't hit their props is because they just don't need to. If they blow them out really, really quickly, then that's the only reason. If everybody in America is watching this game and they're all on CeeDee Lamb, that's something you have to consider, John. Having said that, though, Dallas do like to blow out divisional opponents, whether they're good or not. They have sort of always been stubborn like that over the years. So that's why I still I do like this pick a little bit.
Antonio Gibson over receiving against Seattle in the same game I was talking about before.
That you love Antonio Gibson now. This makes me so happy.
I wouldn't say I love him, but he has started to come alive. He's started to come alive in the receiving game, and Seattle's rush defense is terrible against pass catchers. Derrick Henry should have a big game as well. I've got Breece Hall over receptions. There's a few other really, really good ones here we'll hit up, and I'll be posting out. And need to start a Discord to get all of them. But those are the main ones. Those are the main ones. So just to recap my picks, the ones I really, really like this week, Jared Goff over passing yards against the Chargers in LA, I really like. Joe Mixon over receiving against the Texans, who have not been very good. And I think my ticket will be Chris Olave over catches here. Or I do like Chris Godwin as well. Or the tight ends, Sam Laporta or Evan Ingram as well.
So if you were going to put together a four-legger, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so Goff, Mixon, Laporta.
Okay. He goes Laporta.
So that would be the Goff Laporta stack. You could also do Amon-Ra as well there. I mean, there's a bunch.
You're taking 4.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Olave against the Vikings.
Okay. I like that. So you had Goff, Laporta, Olave, and
Joe Mixon.
And Joe Mixon on the receiving over. All right. And to recap mine, I've got I just love this. We at the top of the show, we were talking about the Detroit Lions. I like Jahmyr Gibbs over 18.5 receiving yards. We then bounced over to Minnesota, where the New Orleans Saints are visiting, and Derek Carr has one shot a game, hard eyes for Foster Moreau. I've got Foster Moreau over one catch. Let's go. I just picture everybody rooting for one fucking catch, Like, I just love it. It's
oh, man, the content's going to be great this week.
This is a uniting together for Foster Moreau to catch one fucking ball. There it is. I like Jalen Warren over 11.5 on his longest rush. He's got to hit the secondary with speed, with authority, and he's got it.
Just needs to break one tackle.
And then Artie Smith is going to make the right decision this week, and he's going to save his fucking job. And Bijan Robinson is going to go over 56 rushing yards. So, again, Jahmyr Gibbs over 18.5, Foster Moreau 1 catch, Jalen Warren over 11.5 longest rush, and Bijan Robinson over 56 rush yards.
Let's go, buddy. I love it.
Here we go. That's it, man.
Send us out.
Yeah. All right. Hey, week 10. John, we're going to do some magical things this week. Let's keep the 70% going. Here we are. Prop Nation. We'll see you on Sunday.
Subscribe to the content. Follow us. Let us know how your picks go as well. Enjoy the weekend.